Thank you. I'm delighted to be here in Busan today, and even more delighted to be able to have the opportunity to interview a veteran of the car carrier segment, in particular at a time when EUKOR and its shareholder have recently announced the new Shaper-size series vessel, the world's largest and most environmentally friendly car carrier. Minyu, first of all, easy question first. Who are EUKOR? Who are your shareholders? How many vessels do you own? And who are your key customers?
먼저 안녕하십니까?
Good afternoon. I'm Lee Min-woo from EUKOR Car Carriers.
So EUKOR Car Carriers is a shipping company. Of course, we transport car and automotive in deep sea transportation. And EUKOR established in 2002. So EUKOR is now 22 years old. And our shareholders is that you see that from our name, EUKOR, Europe and Korea. So our main shareholder is Wallenius Wilhelmsen ASA. This company is listed in Norway Stock Exchange. This company owns EUKOR Car Carriers 80%, and 20% owned by Hyundai Motor and the Kia Motor. So EUKOR currently operating 64 PCTCs. So together with Wallenius Wilhelmsen ASA, it's the largest, PCTC operator globally, so with 125 fleets. That is including EUKOR's fleet of 65 vessels. Our largest, customers are Hyundai Motor and the Kia Motor, accounting for about 30% of our cargo volume. And actually, we have a diverse customer base. We also provide a service, a global, very well-known car manufacturers, and also we provide, high-end heavy, equipment manufacturers. So we, of course, transport cars. And we also transport what you call high-end heavy, because these cargos are larger and also very heavy, like trucks, excavators. We also transport tractors. Even we transport machineries. So we mainly transport cars, but at the same time we also transport high-end heavy cargos. Yeah.
Thank you. Before we discuss the buoyant market of the last couple of years, I think it's worth putting that into context. And as today is Halloween, you can perhaps explain the horror market of the 7 years preceding 2021.
Yeah, it's last 10 years, basically, from 2013 and 2020. If you ask me, when I meet bank people, it's our sector is very slow. It's a slow, growth we've seen. And especially in 2020, it's a pandemic, we had. We saw it's a dramatic, drop in cargo volume. And the more challenging thing is that the cargo demand is very difficult for us to predict, because you see during pandemic, suddenly, factories that closed down, and then cargo we expect just gone. So this situation we managed very challenging for operation part and for also financially. So we very much focus on to what we can do is that just to reduce cost. Second is that we try to increase cash, because cash is very important under this challenging situation. Yeah.
I believe during that period you had a number of vessels laid up as well.
Yeah, so it's very painful. Yeah, so we had to have some vessels which put aside from our operation to reduce costs. And some of our old vessels also, we scrapped the vessels. Yeah.
Which is remarkable when you look at the market now. We met with a Korean client this week who is actually still chartering out a 30-year PCTC, and notwithstanding the fact that it needs to do an annual survey every year, including dry docking, the contract has just been renewed. It's a real different market now. So going through that difficult market, given you are a veteran of the car carrier market and shipping generally, do you have any advice for other finance professionals that encounter a sustained difficult market and how to keep morale up and what to look out for?
I'd like to, say two things. One is that the importance of the finance policy. We have a finance policy internally, and it has many various, things that based on that we make financial decisions. So one thing, important thing is that shipping is basically we have a cycle, and it's a capital-intensive business. So important thing is that the healthy equity and the leverage ratio. It's very important, I think. So we always, when we make decisions, we based on given financial, policy at good times and bad times. Second one is that I like to emphasize the importance of the partnership with our banking group. We take it really very important because, we have, EUKOR is a 20 years history. So during the 20 years, we have two financial, crises. And then always we have trusted our banking club, and they always support us during difficult times. And then we regularly meet them and update our thinking about our business and also our finance needs. So two things I like to emphasize is that one is that internal company finance policy, solid finance policy. And second one is that, relationship with our banking club. Yeah.
And here we are in 2024. The last 3 years have quite literally been fantastic for the car carrier segment. Would you like to share, in summary form, the financial performance of EUKOR and your shareholder?
Yeah, it's car carrier is we call niche market. So normally it's invisible. You cannot see the car carrier market. But this morning, it's a market update. I could see that car carrier market covered. I was happy to see that. And then 22, 23, we had extremely good market. We thought it's really good market. So for 2 years, we had the highest financial performance in our history. So main reason is that, it's a kind of a big change from especially a cargo transportation demand side. So I mentioned that 10 years ago, for a long time, car carrier market was slow. This means that the supply side, basically there's no increase of the number of vessels in our industry. It's basically, if you see the number of vessels in operation for 10 years, it's flat. But one different thing is that there's a big increase in cargo transportation demand from China especially. So traditionally, in car carrier market, the largest export is Japan, and Korea followed. The export number from Japan and Korea very stable. So for example, Japan annually export 4.5 million units, Korea 2.5. And China, it's a bit difficult to know exactly how many cars they export. But let's say 5 years, 6 years ago, normally we are saying less than 1 million, probably between 500,000 to 1 million. But from 22, 23, its export from China increased like this substantially. So you might hear that China export last year surpassed the export volume from Japan. So now the largest exporting, in the world. This year, we are talking about expectation is 6 million car export from China. You see that the one car carrier can transport about 25,000 units or 30,000 units. So you can simply calculate the effect if the huge number of exports come to market like 4.5 million or 5 million units. Yeah, that's main reason why car carrier is a very spot. Then probably question is what's next? Yeah, it is also true that in car carrier market, there are many new build orders, maybe number of vessel new build orders to be delivered, more than 30% of existing, fleet. So we expect that at the moment the current daily charge rate is very high, but it's if when new vessels, new tonnage coming to the market next to 2 or 3 years, then there can be adjustment. The charge rate can be adjusted down. Yeah, but let's see. We don't know how much adjusted or how more it can maintain it at this level, but we will see. Yeah.
Wallenius Wilhelmsen and EUKOR recently announced its newly designed Shaper and Shaper Plus class vessels. What are some of the key specifications of these vessels?
Okay, thank you. It's the name. Why the name is a Shaper? It's showing that our strategy toward decarbonization. Yeah, we think that our attitude and the strategy to decarbonization is that we move in and we shaping the future. And Wallenius Wilhelmsen ordered 12 new builds, Shaper and Shaper Plus vessels. 6 out of 12 ordered by EUKOR. So let me talk first the Shaper class. It's a PCTC. It has 9,300 CEU, meaning that it can carry 9,300 units. And it has dual fuel, methanol dual fuel engine, and it has 12 decks. And it has also special features tailored to our needs. I mentioned that we transport cars, also we transport high-end heavy cargos like trucks and the tractors, it's large cargos. So this vessel has higher decks and also stronger ramp, and also it has wider ramps. So we can take large cargos into the vessels. Shaper Plus is that designed based on Shaper. This is the largest car carrier in the world. It has 11,700 CEU. So it's slightly longer than Shaper and slightly wider, and it has 2 more decks. This vessel is developed by our engineers in our group together with ship design company Delta Marine. Yeah. And last thing is that this vessel will be delivered in 2026 and 2027. This is a very important part of our group plan. We have a strategy to introduce net zero end-to-end service by 2027, net zero end-to-end service by 2027. So this vessel will do very important part of role. So in the morning you mentioned that the article trade winds the
Sure.
interview. So I think that you can introduce about it a little bit.
There was an interview with the chief executive of Wallenius Wilhelmsen earlier this week, and it's gone through the charter renewal and contract renewal period. And I think the comment was that at the moment the wider group was in the process of, or this year, renegotiating or renewing up to 46% of their contract coverage. And they just announced a new 5-year contract with a high and heavy customer. And your chief executive noted that generally customers are willing to pay an extra 10% freight for a 25% reduction in emissions. So that must be satisfying to hear, given the investment in the Shaper series vessels.
Yeah, thank you. So it's an important part, with this vessel and our strategy. I told you that it's end-to-end net zero. So basically, we introduce to the market, to our customers who want net zero service from factory to port, port to port, port to dealer. So it's not the whole company; it's a piece of our trade. So but basically, how we operate the trade will be same with 2040. Then we are going to achieve net zero. But so it's very interesting to share with you. In 2027, we plan to introduce net zero service.
And I think this slide here demonstrates the reduction per unit of greenhouse emissions for the Shaper and Shaper Plus. And as you can see, the Shaper Plus is certainly the most environmentally friendly.
Yeah, it's why then we have large capacity PCTCs. It's basically to reduce emissions. So Shape class we expect can reduce emission per unit by 27% in comparison to conventional PCTC. So Shaper Plus we expect that can reduce emission per unit by 37%. So this vessel will be the most environmental friendly vessel in PCTC market. Yeah.
And during your contract renewal discussions, I think the audience would like to hear how high up the agenda emissions reduction is with your customers, and probably for the ship owner audiences, are the charterers willing to pay for that?
What's your question?
When you're negotiating the contract, the fact that a vessel is more environmentally friendly or reducing emissions, is that a significant part of the negotiation, that's a key term that they like to see? And not only is it a key term, are they willing to pay the extra cost to secure one of these vessels on contract?
You're talking about the chartering market?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see. So yeah, it should have a factor to impact our charter rate negotiation, but unfortunately, our car carrier market at the moment is fully sold out. So regardless the spec of the car carrier, whether it's eco-friendly or not eco-friendly, the price at the moment is very high. Yeah.
So I've heard a lot about black swans today. I'm probably going to have a nightmare about one tonight. But given it is the era of the black swan, talk through a conservative Scotsman about how you take long-term investment decisions when we are seeing so many disruptive or macro geopolitical events that can change the way a market operates quite suddenly. How do you, take the risk or put to the side that risk and continue to have a long-term outlook?
Yeah, it's one thing I need to tell you is that EUKOR, since its inception, we take deliveries of 44 new building deliveries in our history. But that is the part of the beginning of our period. So last 10 years, basically, we didn't have any new builds. This is the first new builds of since 2017, something like that. So why then we didn't have any new builds? We are such large, fleet. So two reasons. First one is that the last 10 years, basically we were slow. The margin was very slow. So it's difficult for us to justify the investment. The second one is that it's already mentioned a lot in this conference that uncertainty about what's really a future fuel. Once we make decision, we thought that this is a future fuel. And if it's wrong, then it's a lot of cost because especially PCTC is long-lived asset. It's 30 years old. We can use it for 30 years. So these two things make us stop. And one thing we need to our strategy is that we maintain EUKOR 65. Together, EUKOR group have 125. So we like to maintain this size of a fleet. So that's our main need. We need to provide a good service. Also, we should respond the net zero strategy we have. So that's main reason why we make a decision. So regarding our internal discussion, how we are going to achieve a net zero, we have a plan to net zero by 2040. Then the question is how? So basically we have three methods. One is that maximize our operation efficiency. Second one is that retrofit some energy efficient equipment. Third one is that investment into this kind very energy efficient new builds. So altogether, that's how we make decision to invest these vessels. Yeah.
Stephenson Harwood was privileged to assist the lenders on EUKOR's financing of the 4 Shaper vessels and the 2 Shaper Plus vessels, which closed in September this year. Can you provide a brief overview of the financing?
Yeah, it's first I like to thank you. The banks support these attractive financing terms to purchase these beautiful vessels, and also I thank you, Gregg, Stephenson Harwood, to arrange the documentation process smoothly. I really appreciate it. The financing is a total $450 million facility. And it has 2 facilities. One is $296 million. This facility to purchase, 4 Shaper class vessels, and the second one is $156 million to purchase 2 Shaper Plus vessels. This is sustainability-linked financing framework, and this meaning that if we satisfy our KPI, then margins slightly decrease. If we fail, the margins slightly increase. So we apply at the moment what we call version 1, so framework version 1, and at the moment we are working to update it to version 2. Yeah. So as the vessel is delivered to from 2006 and 2007, this is the tenure is 7 years from the delivery. So actually the actual tenure is very long if we including the pre-delivery period. Yeah.
And I think, given that we're in Busan, I think it's important to stress the collaboration between the Korean policy banks, KEXIM and KDB, together with your international bank partners, Bank of America, BNP Paribas, SMTB, and DNB. And I think you mentioned it during the discussion of the down market, the importance of having the right balance of Korean institutional support and also international bank support. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, so EUKOR is, I mentioned from the beginning, it's a Korean shipping company. And at the same time, we are US dollar company. So our revenue, occur in US dollar. Most of our expenses, we paid in US dollar. So this means that we need approach US dollar funding. Yeah. So from the beginning, EUKOR has very good support from Korean banking system. So we know that Korea has a banking system supporting shipping companies' growth. So we grow our business with the Korean, system, Korean banking system. And also we understand that how important to get very updated insight about international US dollar funding market. That is we expect to get from our banking group in the international market. So we put value on the collaboration between Korean banks and international banks.
And I think last question, because Kevin's waving at me. This was a post-delivery only financing, and as you mentioned, the first delivery is not slated until August 2026. Yet you have closed the financing at the end of the third quarter of 2024. I think that's quite unusual for some of the Korean owners. Can you maybe elaborate on why you were happy to close the financing ahead of the delivery dates, notwithstanding there's a commitment fee?
Yeah, I had a lot of discussions internally with my boss, and then keep asking me what you are thinking, why you do like early commitment. We have 2 years to the delivery or 3 years to the delivery. I think that we can say that what's the cost, what is the benefit. First, the cost is very clear. It's a commitment fee. The margin is look attractive. With the actual all-in cost, all-in expenses, we should add up the commitment. If we have a long commitment period, this means that actual all-in expense is very high. So that is a cost of the early commitment. And then what's the benefit? I mentioned that last 2 years we have the highest financial performance in our history. This means that this financing, bank's appetite to provide financing to this vessel is very high. So basically, we can leverage that appetite. So we could see that proposed margin is lower than the previous financing we arranged. That is one benefit. A second benefit is that by early commitment, we can remove uncertainty. Yeah, of course, at the moment, shipping company is very good, but who knows next year what happened? Then, easily the margin can going up. And lastly, I asked one of my friends in banking, what can be the benefit for early commitment. He advised me that, anything can happen in shipping. So by early commitment, we can have a time to recovery. If we fail any reason for arranging financing, if to the delivery period is very short, we may not have sufficient recovery period. But by early commitment, we can get sufficient recovery period if we fail to find financing. So all in all, we may conclude to make early commitment, and also with the support with the 6 Korean and international banks, we happily signed the commitments, facility agreements.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the interesting insight, and congratulations for the fantastic results over the course of the last few years. And congratulations to all the financial institutions that helped support the Shaper Series vessels. And good luck into the 2025 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you.